begins quietly. A drone flies over a border. A missile is launched. A military base is hit. The headlines light up. Retaliation, escalation, alliances. And before long, the world is holding its breath. But again and again, just when it feels like everything might collapse, it doesn't. Why? Why, despite all the tension between nations like Israel, Iran, the United States, Russia, China, despite the weapons, the warnings and the words, have we not reached World War III? This is the story of how close we are to the edge and the invisible systems, choices and moments of grace that keep pulling us back. Let's begin with a truth that's hard to accept. The world has come terrifyingly close to total war multiple times. In 1983, a Soviet satellite falsely detected 5 incoming US missiles. One officer, Stanislav Petrov, decided not to report it. Had he followed protocol, the Soviet Union would have launched a full nuclear retaliation based on a glitch. In 1995, Russia mistook a Norwegian research rocket for a NATO missile. The Russian president opened the nuclear briefcase. The world was one phone call away from devastation. These weren't isolated events. In 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, US reconnaissance planes spotted Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba. For 13 days, the world held its breath as US and Soviet forces stood on the brink of nuclear confrontation. Only a last-minute back-channel agreement. Publicly, the US would not invade Cuba, and privately, they would remove missiles from Turkey, saved us from disaster. During the 1973 Yom Kippur War, as Israeli forces were under intense assault, reports suggest that Israel armed its nuclear weapons. The US raised its nuclear alert level to DEFCON 3. It was a moment of incredible tension, yet again resolved by rapid diplomacy and strategic restraint. These were real moments, real people, real decisions, and yet we're still here. So what holds us back from the brink? The first answer is paradoxical: mutual fear. It's known as MAD, mutually assured destruction. The idea is simple but brutal. If one nation uses nuclear weapons, the other will respond with equal or greater force. Everyone loses. Strangely, this terrifying logic has created an unusual kind of peace. Nations know that no one wins in a nuclear war. But fear alone isn't enough. So we build systems, protocols, chains of command, verification treaties, hotlines between enemy nations. It's a massive, delicate web designed not to prevent conflict entirely, but to slow it down. To give people, leaders, advisors, diplomats, time to think before reacting. During the recent Israel-Iran-US standoff, we saw how close things can get. Missiles were launched. Bases were hit. The world watched. But we also saw something else: restraint. Iran targeted military sites, not cities. The US responded with limited strikes. Israel, despite heavy pressure, paused further escalation. A ceasefire followed. Was it peace? No. But it was a choice not to escalate further. A decision made in the shadow of potential catastrophe. Behind every headline are hundreds of conversations we don't see. Back channels, third-party mediators, military advisors urging caution, intelligence officers verifying data, ambassadors making quiet calls. World War III isn't just avoided on the battlefield. It's prevented in office rooms, satellite feeds, and whispered messages across oceans. But still, we're close, closer than we want to admit. Nuclear arsenals are still active, rivalries are sharpening, and one miscalculation could change everything. The line between war and peace is thinner than we think. We now live in an era of cyber weapons and AI-driven intelligence. A false data feed, a misinterpreted hack, a signal jam could trigger responses once reserved for visible attacks. Unlike the Cold War, today's flashpoints are faster and harder to verify. In 2020, Iran mistakenly shot down a Ukrainian passenger plane during heightened tensions with the US, believing it was an enemy missile. All 176 on board were killed. It was a tragedy born of confusion and panic, a sobering reminder of how fragile peace truly is. So why haven't we gone over the edge? Because alongside our capacity for destruction is our deep, often invisible, yearning for survival. We create weapons, but we also create treaties. We raise armies, but we also raise children. We prepare for war, but we pray for peace. And more often than not, when the moment comes, someone chooses to wait, to question, to pause. It's not always glamorous. It doesn't make front-page news, but history is full of almosts, moments when cooler heads prevailed. Here's the thing, humans are wired for conflict, but also for connection. We cry at beauty. We write poems about peace. We create art, music, and science not to destroy, but to understand. Even during war, awe finds a way. In World War I, soldiers on opposing sides once sang carols across trenches on Christmas Eve. In World War II, soldiers risked their lives to save enemy children. In the middle of chaos, we still seek the light. Maybe that's why we haven't reached World War III. Because for all our flaws, we carry the capacity to step back. We are scared, but also wise. We are armed, but also human. And deep down, we all know there's no going back from total war. So the world balances on a knife's edge, not because it has to, but because we keep choosing not to fall. And that choice over and over again is why we're still here. If this video moved you, share it. The more we understand what holds the peace, the more we can protect it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that blend science, history, and the bright side of the human spirit. This is Explore the Bright Side, where even in darkness we look for the awe. Would you choose war or wonder?